Life is more than making it from one day to another.
Like I'm supposed to know what's important.
What they want to believe.
Without a woman.
What they set up in their minds to believe.
August Wilson, exploring the language. Wilson said, "Anything you want to know about the Black experience is in the blues. The blues is the book. It is our sacred book." When speaking of the blues in Wilson's work, this is the high stylized language that connects it all together. The language in his text are an ongoing wealth of information with always more to discover. Wilson wrote a 10-play cycle. These plays encapsulates the African American experience for every decade of the 20th century. When Wilson first listened to one of the blues greats, Bessie Smith, he couldn't stop listening to her. The song that was the strongest influence was "Nobody in Town Can Bake a Sweet Jelly Roll Like Mine." From there, it awakened his awareness of the poetry of everyday language of African Americans. From there, he was inspired to use it in his own writing. A uniqueness about Wilson's plays is that the character and the blues, this lyrical music, is what drives the play versus driving it through plot or action. As a way for the African American graduate student to gain more agency within acting styles and language that encompasses the Black aesthetic, the August Wilson Project was created at Wayne State University's Theater and Dance Department.
A lot of my career as an actor, I explore other cultures, mainly a Caucasian direction. And by going and studying August Wilson, I am coming back to an African American perspective and history, my own.
From this style of acting, I hope to discover my roots mainly. Throughout my theater career, during my undergrad, we never really tackled anything such as August Wilson.
August Wilson offers many layers of research within his work. It's never just linear, and it's never one-dimensional, so there's a lot that you can dig into.
And I personally feel a lot of the rhythms and the colors you see in the language with August Wilson is on par with what you see with Shakespeare. And I don't have a lot of experience doing August Wilson, but I feel kind of like in my soul, the voice of the older Black people in the plays are just the same voice that I grew up with.
During the war, they wanted to show that we were happy and content with being a slave. Then, once Emancipation Proclamation came about, then we're monkeys. And these are little Black kids pickaninnies. So when you see this far away, you think, are these monkeys on the street? No, it's little kids. And so they would always advertise, and they use this as marketing as a way to show that this is, these Black animals are a danger to society. This process not only empowers the student, but unveils and emphasizes the need for theater programs to reevaluate the approach to the study of heightened language. To prepare for the project, actors were assigned a scene from the plays Piano Lesson and Jitney. They were also assigned various reading materials that helped them gain a stronger understanding of August Wilson's work. The first day comprised of discussing the history that's related to the plays that have blown up from him being whipped so much. And all you had to do was just not do something fast enough. I gave them a detailed overview of Black history since the Middle Passage. The ways African Americans were portrayed before and after the Emancipation Proclamation still continues to have a strong effect on the way we are viewed and how we view ourselves.
Because when I became aware of the fact that when I got in the presence of white people, unconsciously I'm starting to shift, I started to stop doing it. Because I don't want to carry this burden of reinforcing these notions of white supremacy and Black inferiority by unconsciously shifting myself. But it's a long process.
It is.
And it's like you talk about fatigue. That's another area where you get fatigued, always having to prove that, when you walk out of a building, people don't notice it, but I remember, when I was oblivious in Minnesota, and I had all these white friends and all this stuff, and it was all great, whatever. I come out the building at night, and all these women, and they're in the car. I'm not even 2 feet, and I'm hearing click, 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 and it dawned on me, you are a black man. And it's like, I've gotten to the point where it's like, it's frustrating, where you're always having to fight this notion that you are this thing that you are not.
Through the enslavement, oppression, and dehumanization throughout history, there was a cultural breakdown that led to a continual search for one's identity.
When we were in high school, that was enough. That was the world, that was everything. But that ain't everything no more. I don't have all the answers. Sometimes I don't even have the right questions.
Anytime I get anywhere near you, you push me away.
I got enough on my hands with Maritha. I got enough people to love and take care of.
Stage 2, actively exploring language. Wilson said, I found out that musicality is built into the language. It's built in the way in which Black folks talk, and it's a language that I grew up with. In terms of exploring language, the blues strongly affected Wilson's style of writing. The rich stories influenced even smallest lines of dialogue.
So it's a lot of things within the Black vernacular. It's a lot of things that is out, and instead of it's the contraction I'd. You said I used to tell her I'd give her weight in gold, but you said I used to tell her I would give her weight in gold. So in Black vernacular, it's a lot of things that are cut off.
But I ain't 17 no more. I have responsibilities. I want to know if they have a hookup for a washer and dryer so I can wash Jesse's clothes. I want to know if they have a yard and do it have a fence, and is there a place for Jesse to play? I ain't thinking about where to put the TV. That's not important to me.
Because of the lack of opportunity to learn to read and write, the blues was used to tell the African American experience. The irony to Wilson's work is that this language, African American vernacular English, was created from poor, oppressed people. Historically, it has been viewed as unintelligent and uneducated.
We do in contemporary society that you keep on doing this versus not stopping until the end of the line. Because August Wilson tells you how he wants you to say it, but you keep on saying it like Tobias versus Avery.
Because the students primarily studied theater from the European aesthetic, I used every opportunity to explore this work stemming from the Black culture. So the challenge was to have the students embody this rich language holistically via vocally, physically, and spiritually. Wilson unveiled when he began to value Black vernacular. He said, "Once I stopped and began to listen in my head to the speech rhythms, I uncovered inferences in Black dialogue. A lot of things are done by implication. When you give the language, you are given the thought patterns as well." So an exercise was created to help the students embody the blues. They chose a blues song. Ideally, it would be a blues song within the decade of their chosen scene. Within their scene, they had to choose a monologue to say to their scene partner. Instead of speaking it, they had to sing it in the rhythm of the blues song and move throughout the space to the spirit of that song.
I know what it looked like when I was gone all the time and not bringing home any money. But you could have noticed that I was tired. You could have said that I wasn't talking too much 'cause I'm tired. You could have.
So you can sit down and watch your football games. But what about the bathroom, the kitchen? How many windows does it have? And the bedroom?
August Wilson Project allowed them to see themselves where they are not traditionally able to within the confines of the traditional graduate acting program.
You know, the challenge for me was figuring out how within these stories and all of these repetitions do these characters sort of take this internal journey of switching beats. So I thought that was really challenging, like you would find in like a classical play in a way. It's like you got these monologues, these soliloquies, and you start here, you end there, and you're going all of this way. And it's like he has all of these intricacies that these characters travel on in these internal journeys. So I thought that was a challenge to find and embody.
Those shifts and repetition are used to get to this point. And I enjoyed in the study having to realize that August Wilson, these passages that I hear all my life, these sounds, are on the same level as Shakespeare.
The goal is to continue this process with my students in hopes that it will continue to empower while improve their acting skills. I encourage other theater programs to do the same. There is more than one way to teach high stylized language. If theater programs hope to be more diverse and expand their curriculum from just a European aesthetic, then August Wilson is definitely a playwright that should be explored not only in dramatic literature classes, but also in acting styles class.